好，同志们，我们都在轰轰烈烈的站起来，站起来。Welcome to the 290th edition of China Now with your gang of two. Nan Su, who is the senior investigative reporter for Epoch Times, and yours truly, Michael Olson, who was long ago dissuaded from being a China hand by the great helmsman himself, Mao Zedong. Each week, Nansu and I look out across the broad expanse of the Pacific Ocean from our home port here at SantaCruzVoice.com, and we ask, China now, friend or foe, war or peace? Ni hao, Nansu.
Hi, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, depending where you are.
And we're everywhere, so we're all those times in one. Wherever you happen to be, we are there with you. Nansu, President Trump threatened to go kinetic, and he has.
That's it. Uh, I think that's we have been talking about that for a long time. It's just not Iran. It's just not going to surrender. It's an extremely religious regime. There's no way they're going to back off. It's just because they can't explain how they're going to back off. What's their base, right? They are all these guys. They are prepared to go to heaven because they have been saying they represent the will of their God.
Right. They own
Right?
God. They own the access to God, and God tells them what to do. I was thinking, as you opened up, that the United States has a government with three branches: the executive, the legislative, and the judicial. Uh, the Iran has a government with three branches, and one of them is the uh, Muslim clerics that provide the direction for the government. And then it has a national military, and then it has a private military. And it seems like um, the situation in Iran right now is such that those three governments in Iran are fighting with each other as to what the heck to do in response to Trump. And I don't think that the IGRC, the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps, can allow itself to succumb to Trump's wishes. I don't think it can, because if it did surrender to Trump, I think it's the population of Iran would string them up by lampposts, and they know it.
Well, there are different focus for these different branches. For all these clerics, and this is it's a Muslim extremist. That kind of holder uh, they basically that's their power base, right? The power base is they have told, for 47 years they have saying that's the God's will.
Death
Now,
to America, death to Israel is
that's
God's
right.
will. And
And
God,
then the only way they can achieve that is nuclear weapon. There's no other way they can achieve that. Or at least they say, well, 1,000 years later, who knows, right? But the one clear way that they can achieve that it's a nuclear weapon. So there's no, it's like they gave up nuclear weapon. It's like they gave up what they believe. They're not going
well,
to do that. That's the fundamental big difference between Iran and North Korea.
and
So
the
that
rest and the rest of the world when it gets right down to it, because Iran has really geared itself, prepared itself, developed the infrastructure for nuclear war.
Right. So, well, the fundamental, the extremist, the religious belief is what make them, what keep them going. They cannot back off. That's the problem. There's no way they can go back off, and they're not going to explain to their own people saying, "Oh, yeah, the U.S. military is too strong, so the God changed his mind." They can't say that. So that's the fundamental part that they're not going to change. Now, that's the clerics group, but however, for the IRGC, it's different. IRGC, it's really because they don't want to back off. It's just because they have too much blood of Iranian people in their own hands.
and too much of the Iranian people's money as well. So the IGRC is not only a profoundly conservative military organization, but it's also a big business. It controls a significant chunk of the business uh, economy of Iran.
Right. So, wow, the fundamental fear it's the blood in their hand. We put it aside because all these groups, every part of this regime, they all have business interests. They all want money. But the fundamental difference between among all these different groups, and it's that the clerics part, it's that their power base from their face, and their face, it's like that's why what we say, that's what all these e- extremist religious believers are saying that the nuclear weapon has a spiritual value. That's what they say. And for the IRGC, it's really their
That's
fear.
right. Somebody said it's a spiritual thing for us, the
Yeah,
nuclear weapon.
yeah, that's what that's one of the
It's not a tactical weapon. It's not a strategic weapon.
it's a
It's a
spiritual.
spiritual weapon.
Right? So that's what it is. Now for IRGC is basically, the fundamental fear of losing power is it's they have the people Iranian people are going to go after them just like
Yeah,
after
they're
World
going
War
to hang them
II.
from the street, from the lampposts. Yeah,
Yeah. And then of course it will go back to number three, it's the continuous support from Russia and China, mainly from China, because Russia, I don't think they are able to even they want to. I don't think they're able to give much support to Iran at this moment because of the Ukraine war, right? And Russia is being exhausted, so it's really the economic supply and aid from China that really keep this regime moving forward.
which
So
is why
that
we're talking about Iran on the China Now show, because Iran really is China Now.
Yeah, Iran is China's biggest proxy force.
Yeah.
That's the bottom line. Is Iran, North Korea, they're all the proxy force of the Chinese Communist regime, right? So that so all these three things. Now we need to go back to talk about. A lot of people do not understand why it takes so long for Trump to make the decision to move forward. Um, I think that this is something that we really need to talk about.
Why
Trump
didn't he? Yeah, what is he waiting
why
for?
what is he waiting for? Now, on the technical aspect, I think it's important for this period of negotiation that the U.S. Intelligence agency collect enough intelligence, knowing what will be the next wave of targets that where we are going to bomb. But those are things I think it's not those 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 jobs are the technical details. It's not a big picture. I
Right.
think the big picture is Trump want to lead the entire Middle East to build the framework to have the entire Middle East to join the
Abraham Accord.
Abraham Accord. Now, there's a one thing we need to understand culturally. All these GC countries, especially Saudi and UAE and Qatar, uh, I think these countries in the past historically they want the United States to weaken the Iranian regime, but they do not want the regime change. You know why?
Why?
If they're comparing, basically, they're comparing with what Iran is today and what Iran was like prior to 1979. I
Back
think
in the good old days.
the good old days, not necessarily the good old days to the Saudis and UAE, right?
Right, right.
Now they kind of afraid they want Iran weakened, but more like Pakistan today. But what they don't want is they don't want Iran to become next Jordan. You see
Oh.
the
Okay,
because
explain Jordan because Jordan has
Jordan
always
have
been very close to the West.
well, that's what they're afraid of, right?
Yeah.
Because they're afraid of after the extremist religious regime in control of the country for so long. Once it becomes a non-religious regime, then there's a lot of other religions are going in culturally. That's what they worry about. That's why they want the Iranian regime to be weakened but not replaced.
Hmm.
But now it takes some time. I think it takes some time for all these GC countries to see from their own eyes. There is no other choice.
Maybe getting shot at helped them open their eyes.
Well, yes, to open their eyes, basically, they have to see for themselves.
Right?
Basically, you don't totally destroy the regime. You let it survive, then eventually they're going to have a nuclear weapon. Once they have a nuclear weapon,
It's
then
over.
it's over, right?
Yeah.
So I think it takes some time to convince them. That's the big picture, so that
Don't
uh,
you think, though, don't you think that Iran's proxies have been doing a pretty good job of waking up the world to the intent of Iran? I'm thinking, of course, of the invasion of Israel by Hamas. Don't you think that woke up the world in many respects to and to where Iran wants to go here?
yes, well, the way that Iran attack all these neighboring countries, you without
Yeah,
differentiate them, that's a wake up call, right? So, but you still you have to realize there is a lot of uh, not just the strategic relation between these GC countries and Iran, but there's also a lot of business interest being
sure.
developed. So that it takes some time, for this country to come in, to join the framework that the Trump is leading to build in the Middle East, basically, which is based on the Abraham Accord. Now,
Do you think Trump has made the sale? You think
I
it's
think uh, I think he's pretty much getting there because the new UN resolution, which China and Russia both did not support, but that was that the new resolution asked Iran to stop its military attack. Uh, has been supported by all the GC countries and plus Pakistan. So you can see all the Muslim countries are joining the frame, kind of in the direction of joining the
mm.
new framework that Trump has been hoping to build.
I just thought in your description of this, are is Trump trying to build a United States of Islam?
It's no, no, no. Trump is building a new NATO to replace the old NATO. That's what it is.
Okay. Well, in the Middle East,
Once we have the Abraham Accord in place, we are all safe. We can get out of Europe. That's why it is, so that we can focus on the Western Pacific.
Amen. Okay. Well, that would be the immediate goal right there. Absolutely. Is
You
so
see,
you think Trump has sold the Middle Eastern countries on getting the go-ahead from them to go kinetic in Iran and lay waste to the IGRC. You think he's made the sale then?
it's IRGC. You keep saying IGRC.
Oh yeah.
It's IRGC.
Iran
Islam,
Republican Guard Corps.
Islamic Revolution. R goes the second. Yeah,
Right.
it's revolution.
The Revolutionary.
uh,
Iran Revolutionary Guard Corps.
Guard,
Okay.
right? So
IRGC.
IRGC. So I hope so. I would say I hope so. Now because Trump, Trump is a businessman, right?
Yeah,
So
he's looking for the deal.
he's looking for the deal. So I hope he make his mind instead of doing the key here. I do not agree with Trump is the ceasefire. I do not agree with any ceasefire. If we are running out of ammunition,
And time.
and no, if we are running out of
Oh,
ammunition,
if, okay.
then just slow down. You don't have to do ceasefire.
Yeah.
You just slow down instead of a bomb them 12 hours once every 12 hours, bomb them 3 days or once 3 days or maybe once a week. The key
Well,
here is we are the United States is the leader of the war. If the US president say something, if he promised the ceasefire, they have to he has to keep the promise. That doesn't it's not like the Iranian regime, they promise anything they can change tomorrow, just like China and like
yeah.
Russia. So they don't care. So I think to reserve the right to go in there to make an attack in any time, any moment that we wish, that's a very important. So if they want a negotiation, fine, we can do the negotiation while the military operations ongoing.
Well, both Israel and the United States have responded in kind to Iran's attack. So Iran sent some ballistic missiles into Israel. Israel attacked Iran, blew up the rocket fuel factory. Take that, Iran. Iran shot down a helicopter, and Trump is going in and blowing up Iran. So we've used these attacks from Iran as a reason to go in and blow things up. Now, I suspect that when it gets right down to it, there's nobody that has total control of the military left in Iran. So I suspect a lot of these attacks, these shooting of ballistic missiles have been have been the result of somebody just making up their mind. I'm gonna go shoot some ballistic missiles at Israel tonight, or I'm gonna go shoot that helicopter down. Um, but I don't know if it's a something that's been directed from the head of Iran, because I don't know if Iran does have a head. And
Well, I think it doesn't matter. I think that Trump has Trump has really seen that this negotiation going nowhere.
going nowhere.
It doesn't matter, right? See, we start United States military start a ceasefire, and at the beginning they just keep talking, and then they keep changing,
No.
and you make President Trump like a joke. How many times he repeated we're gonna have a deal? I mean,
So
so what they're doing here is it's trying to undermine the credibility of U.S. government. That's what they're doing.
sure, sure.
Um, but
I'm sure Trump knows that as well.
Trump knows that, and but Trump needs time to convince all these GC countries. That's what he has been waiting for. Now, it's what I was going to say. That and Trump actually, I think he get to a very comfortable place. Oh yes, and also it's very important. You know why? that all these GC countries coming, Trump has been keep saying we are ahead of schedule. What was the schedule? There another thing that made all these GC countries coming to join the framework that the United States is leading to build based on the Abraham Accord. There's another very important piece. Let's never forget. That's a Trump's visit to Beijing.
There you go.
That's a Trump's visit to Beijing. Now, the last day before he left Beijing, he was sitting side by side with Xi Jinping to
Changnan High.
yeah, Zhongnanhai, and he revealed what the one-on-one talk between Xi and Trump the night before, and he was doing that in front of the international all media's. The whole world was paying attention, and Trump basically say,
He agreed.
Putin agreed that Iran cannot have nuclear weapon. Why? That all comes into the play. It's to not to convince anybody else, but to convince all these GC nations. See, all these GC nations, Saudi, UAE, they have a tremendous amount of relation with Beijing. And not to forget that even after the United States started a military operation in Iran, the UAE foreign minister actually they went visit Beijing first, right? Before
Right.
they even come to talk to Scott Basin and say they need, they need the US dollars. See, that's what it is. So to have Beijing make that commitment is very important. Although Xi Jinping just sitting there didn't do anything, but
He
everyone
didn't deny it.
he didn't deny it. That's number one. And the reason everyone knows the reason he did not deny it is because Beijing has been buying U.S. oil ever since the beginning of April, average like more than 600,000 barrels a day. So it's like in those GC countries' eyes, it's like a Beijing abandoned the Iranian regime, right? Because they need U.S. oil. So I think that's very important now that it all come together.
And we've gone, and Trump has gone kinetic in Iran, and he's threatening to really take them down tonight. He says that tonight is the night. So it's rumored that he's talking about taking over Karg Island. Who knows what he's going to do?
Oh, that's what
But
he said. That's
yes,
what he said in his tweet.
now, um, what choice does he have? He
Well,
doesn't really have any choice,
I'm not sure that's what I really do. I mean, Trump is a businessman. He just, the deal making, the five deal making tactics Trump has. Number one, it's asking a really high
right?
uh, price. And number two, know the bottom line of your risk, right? So taking Clark Island real because without taking over Clark Island, we already achieved what we need. Basically, the blockade, basically it's a full replacement of taking over Clark Island. We don't have to send our troops put the boots on the ground on
Right.
Clark.
And the blockade, no oil's getting out. So why take Karg Island?
That's
Because
right.
that's 90% of Iran's economy right there.
But it's already gone by the
It's
block.
already gone. Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't make any more out of it right now. We don't
So
need.
what's the purpose of making
Say,
that?
I think I think at this moment Trump it's just bluffing on this. I don't think he's
Ah,
really going to do it. Now, it's easier to destroy just to bomb the Cold Cargo Island
yeah.
instead of take it over. So I think they probably this is just a negotiation uh tactic for Trump. Trump still trying to hope still trying to make a deal. Making a deal, of course, it's better than anything else, right?
Yeah.
Because it's a long arrangement. Now, but however, take the statement of taking over Kag Island certainly will add some weight to the Iranian regime. But I don't think they're going to back off. I don't think they're going to back off. So
Well, we'll see. We'll see what happens because it's supposed to be happening tonight in a very big way. We'll see what happens. We're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, we're going to take a look at Xi Jinping's flight to Pyongyang. Now, what do you suppose he was doing? He hasn't been anywhere for 6 years. All of a sudden, he's flying off to Pyongyang, North Korea, to talk to Kim Jong-un. Stay tuned.
It's time now to repair or replace your roof. Hi, folks. Warren Knox here of Knox Roofing. Well, we install leak-proof and fire-proof roofs. Roofs that look nice with a lot of choices of colors and styles. Gutters, skylights, insulation, and roof decks. We only install proven products with warranties unmatched by anybody. Financing is always available, and we have discounts for veterans and seniors. Do business with Knox Roofing, and you'll also receive a free Knox Garden Box. The number to call again is 831-461-0634. Thanks, folks.
Attention investors. This is a simple commercial on the investment value of gold. Gold continues to make new highs. In good markets and in bad markets, you need to have your portfolio balanced with gold. Learn about owning physical gold or getting a gold-backed IRA. Make this simple call right now.
800-414-1657. 800-414-1657. That's 800-414-1657.
Sponsored by Reagan Gold.
It's high time to celebrate the opening of the new Hook Outlet Dispensary, 1129 Mission in Santa Cruz. Get in on the opening fun and really low prices on the Hook's unmatched selection of top-quality medical and recreational cannabis flower, vapes, drinks, gummies, and concentrates. The Hook Outlet is now the West Side's source for finest cannabis at the lowest prices. Get in on all the opening fun and low prices at the all-new Hook Outlet. HookOutlet.com for details and deals.
Charlie Hong Kong is here to nourish you with our healthy noodle and rice bowls, abundant with local organic produce grown in nutrient-dense soil, as well as soups, sandwiches, salads, and our special ginger lemonade. All are welcome to enjoy our patio or to go. Order in person or online, corner of Soquel and Seabright. Charlie Hong Kong, nourishing our community one bowl at a time.
Woman 味的来的，我们是中国现在 with Nansu and Michael Olson and you. Well, Nansu, Xi Jinping flew to Pyongyang not too long after Trump's visit to have a little conversation with Kim Jong-un about reestablishing their long relationship together. So why do you think he flew to Pyongyang, Nansu?
Well, I think that with what's been going on ever since the beginning of this year, this is very important. The after the military operation in Venezuela as well as in Middle East, um, it changed the not only changed the entire geopolitical map in the world, but it certainly changed a lot in the relation among these different regimes that form an anti-U.S. Eurasian continental power.
Yeah, can you imagine what they think after seeing what happened in Venezuela? Uh, what a change! Just like that, it happened.
yeah,
Nobody could do a thing about it.
Yeah, it changed all the chemistry among China, North Korea, Russia, and Iran. So basically, now that Xi Jinping is trying to do little more to repair his personal relation with Kim Jong Un now. keep in mind, Xi Jinping. Now, keep in mind, first of all, North Korea and China, they've been together, right? Ever since Korean War. But it doesn't mean that every generation leaders have same level of good relation, especially Xi Jinping. Now, Xi Jinping, uh, uh, the difference between Xi Jinping uh, and the previous communist regime leaders, it's Xi Jinping after he inherited the power, the top leadership of CCP. He chose to first visit South Korea in 2014. I forgot, it's either 2014 or 2013. He inherited the power in 2012. I believe he went to visit South Korea first before he didn't make any visit. Now, previously, before he inherited the power, he visited North Korea, um, because that's the standard process, not his own decision. Now, like communist leaders, whoever the next one to take the leadership power, before they even do that, they're always being sent to North Korea to make that visit. So that's a standard process, not his own decision. That decision was made by Hu Jintao and Jiang Zemin. So that's how he visited before 2012. I think he went there. I forgot, either 2007 or 2009. That's after internally the CCP already decided he will be the next top leader. Now and then but what happens after he inherited the leadership? He first went to South Korea in 2014 to make that visit.
Why
Now,
did he go there first?
well, that's what I'm going to about to explain. Now, remember, we talked about many times after Xi Jinping inherited power, he has a long time struggle with the faction of Jiang Zemin.
Right.
Now it just
Just because the leader is taken out of his leadership position does not mean that everything that went into building him into that position is dismantled as well. All of his friends and his associates are still sitting there in office, right?
and one of that associates is actually Kim Jong Un.
There you go.
There you go. Kim Jong Un like Jiang Zemin a lot better. So that's why Xi Jinping chose to go to South Korea first.
With the thumbing his nose at them.
Right. So which would really make Kim Jong Un angry, right? And now Xi Jinping did not visit North Korea until actually 2019, which was 5 years after he visited South Korea. So he made a first visit to Pyongyang 5 years after he visited Seoul. So that was the 2019. And
And
when
7 years later?
like 5 years later, right?
Yeah.
Now, and the reason was, what happened. I hope everyone still remember what happened in 2019.
Yeah, Tiananmen Square.
2019 was the face-to-face talk between Trump and Kim Jong Un. Remember
Oh,
that?
right. Yes.
Yeah, say Trump's
In
first.
in North Korea, yes.
Yeah,
In
yeah. Trump talked to Kim Jong Un, and then they now Trump made a serious. Well, actually, they met twice, but there was a lot of talk between United States government and North Korea during that couple years. Now, what happens every time before the meeting between Trump and Kim Jong Un? Kim Jong Un will go to China, because Kim Jong Un knows he needs support from Beijing,
Sure.
and he doesn't want to hide anything. So after they talk to each other, after Kim Jong Un talked to Trump, and Kim Jong Un always make another visit. to Beijing. So now, so during that couple of years, Kim Jong-un visited China multiple times, and therefore Xi Jinping visited back. You know, uh, it just he need to show his support. So that's 2019. But still, those are not that those are the necessary talk and visit between
Yes.
the two regimes. But now things change. See,
And it's 7 years later, right?
yeah, 7 years later, now that things change completely. Now, keep in mind, there used to be the relationship between Beijing and North Korea. It's like love and hate. That kind
I
of
always, I
relationship.
always, I always pick, no, so I always pictured in my mind the relationship being Xi Jinping and Kim Jong-un. So I always pictured Kim Jong-un as Xi Jinping's pit bull on a short leash.
Not necessarily, because Kim Jong-un won the nuclear weapon, and Beijing won the investment from the Western world, right? That's a difference.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you think about that the relation, and Kim Jong Un won the nuclear weapon, and China won the investment from the West. So that's the whole chemistry of the six-party talk between 2003 and 20. It didn't quite finish until 2013, but officially, superficially, it finished in 2007 or 2008, but it didn't, the talk probably continued until 2013 until Kim Jong-un really had a nuclear weapon. So 2003 was the year that North Korea withdrew from the proliferation of a nuclear
Nuclear
weapon.
arms proliferation treaty.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Then it's on its own. It's a nuclear armed nation now.
Yeah, so Kim Jong now Beijing has been very smart to play with the United States. So every time when because during those years, before Trump started the trade war in 2017 against China, now, after China joined WTO in 2001 until what? Until Trump started the trade war with China in January of 2017, right? That when Trump imposed the 25% tariffs on the solar panels from China. That was how the trade war started. Now, all those years, China won, United States wanted China to basically negotiate and to play by rules, right? Play, the international rules. Uh, to That's what like intelligent intellectual property right,
Right.
or the trade balance, so on and so forth, all these things, and to give fair entrance of U.S. corporations to Chinese market in China, also on and so also all these things. Now, what Beijing has been doing is they, every time when the negotiation between U.S. and China stall, getting nowhere, then the North Korea is going to shoot a rocket or a missile or a nuclear test or something, and all of a sudden, then the United States is going back to China and ask Beijing to help, right? To help, stop North
Will
Korea,
you help settle down your pit bull?
right?
He's
And
barking
then
at my fence and scaring everybody.
and then the result is always Beijing want some more investment, technology, or whatever, right?
Give
So
me your microchips and I'll tell my pit bull to settle down.
now, but things get totally out of control in the past few years. First of all, of course, it's a Ukraine war. Ukraine,
Yes.
Beijing cannot, because they still want the investment, technology, and especially the market from the Western world. for its economy. So therefore, they cannot directly support the Russian regime, um, for the Ukraine war. And guess what? Kim Jong Un stepped forward. Kim Jong Un is sending his military to Russia,
Yes.
right?
Russia
That
and
changed
bull
the chemistry.
and ammunition as well.
That's right. So that changed the chemistry among Russia, China, and North Korea. That's the starting point. Now that uh, the approach of Trump this year, peace with strength, right? He started military action in Venezuela and Middle East, and the blockade outside of the Strait of Hormuz. It's a reality show. It's a reality show which tells Beijing, if you dare to start a war in the Western Pacific, that's what's going to happen. There's zero barrels of oil going to ship out from the Middle East
Or
to China.
food or anything else.
That's it.
Yeah.
So basically, that removed the car in Xi Jinping's hand that Xi Jinping used to believe he has, the rare earth.
Yep.
Oil is a lot more important than rare earth, right?
Yep.
So and
It's
also
the lifeblood of economies.
that's it.
And it's what we have for breakfast.
Yeah.
Although people don't want to think that is the case, it is the case.
And but also you think about that if say North Korea, they got the oil mainly from China. Although they have some, they get some crude oil from Russia, but that's what mainly they got. They need the oil product because North Korea doesn't have enough refinery capacity. So their main they got the oil product from China. China export oil products but import crude oil.
Right. Interestingly enough, a quick sidebar to that is that Iran is in the same place as North Korea is with respect to refined petroleum products.
Yeah.
It has to rely on China for its gasoline and diesel and jet fuel and everything else.
Right. So that so now if say there is a war happening in the Western Pacific and the oil from Middle East are cut off, and also of course at in under that scenario, the oil from the United States from Canada will be also cut off. China is not going to get anything.
Yeah.
And so what China is going to do? First of all, they're going to save their own economy. They don't get enough crude oil, then they're going not going to sell the oil product to North Korea,
Or
right?
yeah.
And well, many countries they're not going to sell oil to. But however, this is very important. Energy is the number one important at this moment because the entire world, again, we talk about the geopolitical map. It's been reshaped ever since the beginning of this year after the military operation in Venezuela and plus now the military operation in Middle East. So you see all all basically change the chemistry among these regime leaders. So Xi Jinping, all of a sudden, Xi Jinping and Kim Jong Un have more common grounds now, and also they need us. They need each other more now. So that so basically it come actually they realized that a little earlier, remember in September of last year Kim Jong Un and Putin were invited to Beijing's military parade on Tiananmen,
Right.
right? Putin basically and Kim Jong Un, they are one on the left, on the right, standing right next to Xi Jinping, right?
It's when they agreed to be 150 years old.
That's right. But with Trump's visit to Beijing, although Trump didn't sign any agreement, didn't make any joint statement with Xi Jinping, but Xi Jinping knew what's coming. So he need to improve his personal relation with Kim Jong Un. That's what it is.
Yep.
So so he invited Kim Jong Un to Beijing. Which which is huge. In last September's visit of Kim Jong Un to Beijing to view the military parade on Tiananmen Square,
Right.
standing right next to Xi Jinping, because all these videos you know, showing how close relationship Kim Jong Un has with Xi Jinping will be broadcast back into North Korea.
Yep.
That will consolidate his Kim Jong Un's support in his own regime. And now, Xi Jinping even make a trip to North Korea, and of course, that will have that will consolidate more support for Kim Jong Un from his own regime. But also, it's a time for Kim Jong Un. See, you have Kim Jong Un literally put up a big show, uh, that uh, that to welcome Xi Jinping, right? Usually when the country leader comes, you go to welcome them and you greet them, and then you have this view of honorary guard, military honorary guard, right?
Right.
But but they actually did it twice. They also did it when Xi Jinping left Pyongyang. So they did it both when Xi Jinping came and when Xi Jinping left.
So demonstrating the mutual affection. There's something else that's been going on recently with respect to North Korea that I've been reading about, and that is the country is becoming much more prosperous by virtue of its participation in the Ukraine war with Russia. Well, it's by selling its ammunition and arms, and by evading all of
No,
the sanctions.
Kim Jong Un is literally selling his soldiers. That's what it
That's
is.
exactly right, and making quite a bit of money on it.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, in Pyongyang, they built 10,000 new homes last year in Pyongyang, which is more new houses than they built in Los Angeles last year. So something's going on. He's making some money. And as you said, number of times, many times, in fact, Kim Jong-un wants to be fat and happy and wealthy. And
Yeah.
he is
He's the one want to have a good life. That's why, see, that's why he can fit into this the current uh a framework of who is
right.
allowed to have nuclear weapon, because as long as we have enough nuclear weapon, then Kim Jong Un is not going to use his nuclear weapon, because he still want to enjoy the rest of his life, and he also wants his daughter to
Take
inherit his
over.
present.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
so he's not going to do what the Iranian regime leader is going to do, right? They
Well,
want to go to heaven. They will
yeah, there
blow
you
up
go.
the world, so they will go to heaven.
Well, Kim Jong-un also did something else that I found to be quite surprising in that he had the term socialism removed from the nation's title. And in doing so, taking socialism out of who North Korea is now, does that not also change the direction that he might well be heading with his country? If
Well, we
he,
don't know. We
we
don't
don't
know
know,
how
but
he's going to do it, right? They are still communist country. That's for sure. They are still respect to Karl Marx, Engels, and Lenin's, Joseph Stalin. They still paying respect to those figures. So we don't know what he's going to do the next. Um, but however, I think that they as this communism ideology actually went broke, well, that all these communist countries,
Yes, exactly. It doesn't work.
yeah, well, except that Xi Jinping still want to go back to, Chairman Mao's era, right? He will actually want to go back to the fundamental ideology of communism. That's what Beijing's move is. We're going to have to see, what all these countries, including North Korea, Vietnam, Cuba, each of them, it's going to be interesting to see how their next move is going to be. I wouldn't, I would say I'm really worried about the current direction of what Vietnam is moving towards too. It seems like they're moving, uh, starting kind of like moving back to the same, they're moving in the same direction of Beijing. It seems like not really clear yet, not really clear yet.
We'll have to find somewhere else to make our shoes then. Well, one thing we're getting short here on this hour of China Now, but when we come back next hour, I'd like to like us to take a look at China's economic warfare with the West and how they still appear to be winning that economic war. And so we'll talk about China's exports, a huge surge. In May of this year, the trade surplus surged to over $105 billion with the West. And the year on year, exports are up almost 20%. Imagine if, ladies and gentlemen, if your income went up 20% in one year, how nice that would be. So where's all of this money coming from? And how is China competing in the world? I bring this up because the Pentagon listed a bunch of Chinese companies and accused them of being arms of the Chinese military. Now, I was searching around on social media and on the X platform, I saw a lot of people commenting on this listing by the Pentagon and accusing the Pentagon of being anti-capitalist for for listing these Chinese firms as being arms of the military. And I got to thinking they are arms of the military, and they are arms of the political and economic warfare being conducted by the CCP against the United States and against the West. So that's the subject we'll pick up when we come back after these messages. This is China Now with your gang of two, Nansun, Michael Olson, and you as well. We welcome your participation at ChinaNow.com. Give us a look and listen. And then when we come back, it is the economic war against the West conducted by the CCP. Stay tuned.